Hey, what's up? Welcome to DGenEd and Crypto Corner Sat Stacker for Saturday, October 11th. Going to be going over the 20 different cryptos that are listed over here in the chat. I also am doing something new this week. I am doing this live, so you guys can chat amongst yourselves, share ideas as I go over the 20 different cryptos. But if there is one that you have a burning question about, you can request an individual cryptocurrency for super chat, and I will go over it. So yeah, I will see it if it does go there, but I'm not going to be taking requests for stocks, for random stuff unless it is associated with a super chat. And the reason for that is because it takes me about 2 hours to go through these this list, and it's pretty exhausting for me. So if you want to give a super chat, be happy to take your request. But anyways, I'm not going to keep that up there for the whole video, and now I am going to start with kind of the overview of the thesis. And so in the thumbnail, I do have a little meme that I made of a cat being left behind, not having bought the Ethereum dip, and that was really inspired by a post that Tom Lee shared about needing more cat memes. And so I made a few of them. That was one of them, and we are now seeing a dip. Do I think it is a dip buying opportunity? I'm not really sure. We'll have to wait and see how things play out, but the way that I am going to roll with it is I'm going to assume that it is a dip buying opportunity for this week. Maybe things do change, and I have to adjust the thesis there. But if we are looking at this data, the monthly Bitcoin returns percentage from CoinGlass, we can see that Uptober is now negative about 1.5%. We could view that as Uptober is over, it's been canceled, or we could view this as an opportunity, as the majority of Octobers in the past have been green. This could be a great dip buying opportunity because it's not up only Tober, it is just Uptober. And so it does seem like it's more likely that this will be going higher, although we could be going down, about twice, about 2% more. So do keep that in mind. That was associated with 2018. But yeah, I'm just viewing this as an opportunity. It will be going over the charts, going over the different levels that stand out to me, and then just coming back to the spreadsheet here. This is something I go over every week. I used to go over it in more depth, but it just took too much time. There is a link in the description of the stream to my thesis, where I kind of go over like the risk management strategy, stuff like that. Part of the reason also why I don't cover that on a weekly basis is because I've diverged from it a little bit. But also you can see some links down there, one of them being the Easter video that I put out on 420, which was Easter. And this is the URL to that. Here's the thumbnail. Just talking about the thesis that is kind of laid out here graphically. I took this screenshot, I believe, for that video or shortly after, talking about Ethereum on the weekly time scale, and that I believe it was April 9th, we hit a low of just below $1,400, and I viewed that as a dip buying opportunity. And, that has since played out. And the reason why I saw that was because this confluence of levels, a fake out break below the yellow trend line support, coming to, this confluence of green lines, going back to the 2017 high and the pivot high to pivot low over here. And so that seemed like a great opportunity. And that is really, when I started to do these weekly videos. And then also, I did just put out a recent video. It's only 4-minute long, just like a renewed Ethereum thesis that we had recently tested a level like over here. Although, of course, over the past week, we have broken below it. And another aspect of the thesis was just all of the bearish Ethereum memes. And so I kind of just compiled them here, but then they switched to bullish. And so maybe that was the topping signal, should have recognized that. But anyways, just trying to have fun here And, all of those videos that I talked about linked in the description. And then also, if you are interested in stocks, there are a number of links to other videos on those stocks down below. But this video is going to be centered around crypto, going over my strategy, dollar cost averaging, dip buying, stuff like that. And that is really just based on what is over here in the spreadsheet. The different cryptos, you can see the tickers right here in front of Ed. I will be going over them in this order. And, what I do, on a weekly basis, if you are new to this, since I am doing it live, is that I basically have either dip buys or dollar cost averages, daily dollar cost averages. The ones that are green have been filled. Of course, this week, all of them got filled because we got a huge flush to the downside. And then I go over different support and resistance levels that effectively all of them were hit, yesterday, as I'm sure you guys are not surprised. But then, in this, I'm just going to kind of reevaluate that, think about support levels for the week ahead, resistance levels where I might want to trim. And, I am still going to proceed as normal for this week. But if we do start to see some more bleeding, maybe some more collapsing, big volatility to the downside, I will start to get more conservative. But, the benefit of doing it like this, routinely dollar cost averaging, not huge amounts of money, like a daily dollar cost averaging, literally being $1, is there's very little emotion involved. So, I like that. With that being said, I am going to dive into the first ticker on the list, which is, of course, going to be Bitcoin, first populating the market cap and then throwing the price in there. But also, I should note, because before I get into Bitcoin, actually, that, with the volatility that we saw yesterday and, some exchanges having some issues, I think this is just a really good time to remind people that, not your keys, not your coins, and to store off exchange, or at least to, have a plan for, when maybe it hits the fan. And so over here, I just have the link to Trezor.io. That's the hardware wallet that I use. I have a Trezor Model 1 as well as a Trezor Safe 3. They have been working great for me. And then the exchanges that I do use are listed here. But anyways, like I said, let's dive into Bitcoin at ticker symbol BTC and look over at that market cap. So just coming over here to coin market cap, Bitcoin, of course, being the number one, and the market cap is currently around 2.2 trillion. And then from this, we can see if it went up or down from last week. And I'm sure, as we can all imagine, it's going to be a lot of red here. But looking over at last week's data, we can see, that the market cap for Bitcoin was, $2.4 trillion. So it came down by about $200 million. So we can see that right there. And let's now check out the price. And for the most part, I'm going to be using Coinbase data over here. Some of the tickers, I do diverge from them, and then I will be going over drawings and then also updating them because I'm definitely going to have to. But before I do that, let's look at the close from yesterday, which is pretty tragic, also being below the 50 SMA, which you can see as that blue line there at $114,000. $114,386. And we can see the close for yesterday was at 112,980.28. 112,980.28. So 112,980 and let's see, 28. Okay, and that of course went down. One of the benefits of this dollar cost averaging as well is you can see that even with the massive red day yesterday, and actually let's see what the low was. Maybe it dipped below my average. The low was actually 107. So no, I was still in the green. I'm up about 16%, and that is based on doing daily $40 DCAs using the exchange strike. However, moving forward for this week, I will hit my target for 2025, and then I will be reducing this $40 to $5. So then I can either just continue to stack, but then also maybe do $5 for swing trading, and or I might explore Arch Public eventually to use their algos with Robinhood to then be, more aggressively buying dips and then trimming moves up. And so that is something I'm very interested in, but I am just going to flip this to be white, because what I might do, rather than putting it on here in the spreadsheet, switching over to $5, I might just leave it at 40 for the week, and then next week I would revise that to be $5 moving forward, which would be set. And the reason why it's only 5, I was considering doing 10, is because with Strike, whenever you change the daily DCA, there's I think a 1% fee for every buy for a week. And so I don't want to do $10 and then adjust it to 5 if we start going to all-time highs or something. So I would then just switch that to 5. But anyways, let's talk about the levels that I have here in the spreadsheet and in this screenshot that I have here, which we will actually populate over here for next week. And so the support level that I had was 118. Let's look over at the chart to see where we are relative to that. And let's see. So current price is 112, so definitely below. And, let's throw up the drawings here, because the 118 that I had drawn up there corresponded with this yellow line. And that was also, let's see, the 382 here. And we clearly broke through that. We clearly broke through the 50%, the 618, but we did close above the 786 around 112. So I actually find that to be really interesting, that I was expecting this Fibonacci retracement to just be deleted. I did not expect that to be useful at all, but it does seem like there is something there. And since, we have seen this massive volatility and there might be some levels in the past that we want to explore, I am actually going to clean up the chart a little bit. So I'm going to remove this Fibonacci retracement over here, just so that's a little cleaner. And, I might leave these two levels here, the purple at 102 and the green line there at 100,377 and 1 penny. Right around there, which I imagine was the low from June 5th. So that's why I have it to that kind of odd number. We do have this fib extension here, which I'm just going to delete that. We don't need to be going too crazy with those levels, and this trend line here. And so one thing that we can see is that we did barely sweep the lows from over here. So I find that to be pretty interesting. And also, if we see where the cursor goes across, does correspond with the lows over here, as well as some of the highs over here. So what I might do is just find kind of a round number from around here. So we have the tops, that was resistance, then it flipped to support, support again, and maybe, we wick down to that level. There will be some support again there. So I'm just going to come over to the horizontal ray tool, and let's see what are some, levels. Really, I think if I were to, round this, let's actually, have fun with it. DGen Ed, we've got to have fun. So I'm going to, just lock this in place so it doesn't move. And, we can have fun with, the numbers here. And so it's around, let's see, 107,600 something. And so I'm actually just going to round that up to 69, and then 4, and then 20. I believe that would, yeah. So we got a 69 there and a 420 there. I think that's fun. No stress, no worries. We tested it. We pierced that level. We've tested it over here. We've tested it over here. So, yeah, I feel fine about that. And so expecting, if price does go back there, probably wouldn't get a fill at that exact level. So I would say that I am going to revise this to not 118, but 108. And so we can see that over there. And we can also see that I did have an additional level over here. Again, they're red because I'm not placing orders. So, that's just, how I'm doing this, because I'm doing the daily DCA. Once I stop doing the daily DCA or the aggressive $40 DCAs with Bitcoin, then, maybe I have some limit orders at these dip buy levels. But 104, why did I pick that? Let's see, that is probably going to be, maybe I deleted it, in the fib retracements that I had there. And so what I might do is, let's see, I got 108 here. I would just say 102. That's, a round number corresponding with what's over here. But really, I mean, the reality is, do I actually think it's going to go to 102 or 100? Not necessarily, but, what's that 104 based on? I don't really see that it's based on anything over here. So I am going to change that to 102. I think that that makes sense. And with that being changed, that means that I need to adjust my alert. So I'm just going to make this yellow. And so we can see that needs to be changed. And, but yeah, then let's also consider the resistance. This is probably going to change the target to the upside because we did, pull back lower. And, let's see, how did I get these levels to the upside? And we can see this one over here. This is kind of, like older news, a little bit more legacy, but just coming from, the low over here. And I might actually move that back in time just so we can see the pivot point. Actually, I don't need to do it exactly. I'll just do it over here, approximate over there, so we can see that 100% move. If this was a bull flag consolidation, that 100% move would bring it to around $135,846. But what we can look at over here is this other fib retracement where we go from the low here to here and then down. And actually, I could do a bigger retracement from here to here, so I might do that as well. But let's first just adjust this one to the, revised low over here, and then just move it forward into the future. And that's going to be around 133,000. And the reason why I have it over here at 135 is because, maybe we pierce the level that I have, but I don't think that it would necessarily go that much higher before consolidating and then maybe continuing, or, blow off top and it starts to roll over. So that's why I have that level there. And then it does look like we have some more levels to the upside, but we don't have kind of the bigger picture fib move from the low here to the high and then back down. So let's do that. Fib extension from the lows over here. So this was April 7th, it looks like, for Bitcoin was the low. And then up to the high, the all-time high hit on October 6th. So, I mean, with that, we started October strong, but not so much right now. And then pulling back, to the low from yesterday. And so let's just see where that 100% lies. And that is actually, I have the 786 here. It's getting a little bit cluttered. So I might, just remove the 786. So we don't have so many levels overlapping. But that 100% extension from that move, from the low of 2025 to the high and then the pullback, that would be putting price at around $158,631. So what I'm going to do, in addition to this, is I am going to, and actually I'm going to have to do the $ and comma for this. Oops. I will also do the 158. I think that's, another potential level. You will notice that I'm going to leave all of these red because for Bitcoin, I just plan on stacking it. However, once I do hit the goal for the year, then, I'll have $5 every day to stack, and then I can do $5+ every day, or, just for buy-in dips. And then I would look to trim at levels that I see as resistance, like 135 or 158. Still stacking every day, but then having not only a stacking position, but also a trading position. So that is going to be my strategy moving forward. And yeah, I do need to adjust those alerts, and I've got those levels there. So that is that. And then we will continue on to the next ticker. But since I am doing this live, I can't pause it. And so I am going to just take a little coffee break here. And hey, Sonny, good morning. Glad to see you in the chat. Yeah, so whenever I take coffee breaks, I might check the chat just to say hi to people. And yeah, and my strategy with this is very little emotion, really like no emotion. Yesterday I was at work when things were crashing down, and it's like, I had some orders filled on here that could have been filled lower, but it's like, oh, and then I saw Fartcoin down a lot, and it's like, oh, well, I could buy that. And it's like, no, I am just going to, follow my plan that I go over every week here and just stick to it, because otherwise it's like, oh, it's dipping, I'm going to buy more. Oh, it keeps dipping, I'm going to buy more. Oh no, it's dipping more, I don't have any money. So I don't want to do that. Done that in the past. And so no emotions. If this is, a dip buying opportunity, it's not just over yesterday. We're still in that dip phase, so I'm not too worried about it. But yeah, let's continue on with Ethereum over here. Of course, ticker symbol ETH. And let's check out the market cap. So over here, Ethereum, of course, going to be the number 2, and that is now below $500 billion at around $461 billion. Of course, that did come down from last week, as we were above $500 billion last week. And now let's check on the price, see if that does correspond with some of my levels. And so I'm going to skip to this next one, this next Ethereum, because this is the Coinbase data that I like to base that on. But then I will, let's see, look at the other chart in just a minute, because that's kind of my revised or my renewed thesis. But here we can see that on Thursday, and I had actually talked about during one of the market hour streams, look for this to close above the 50 SMA. Ethereum closed below it, as you can see, just slightly below. And I didn't really think that was a huge deal. That was apparently a signal. And we collapsed down over 12% on Friday, so on the 10th. And so the closing price for Friday, that was 3836.15. So 3836.15. Got that there. And hey, I'm still up in my Ethereum position, 42%, so still looking good. The daily dollar cost averaging has been great. And one thing that's actually kind of interesting about Ethereum, what I went over in the thesis that I used to go over every week, is that, I have the most conviction in Bitcoin, then Ethereum, and then kind of going down the list. They're not necessarily in that order here, but Ethereum is definitely the number 2. And if I stop doing $40 DCAs with Bitcoin, Ethereum will eventually catch up. And so when ETH does catch up, then I will probably adjust those daily DCAs, or then I might focus on other tokens or coins, I should say, like Solana, get that higher up on the list. But yeah, I mean, let's look at these levels. So support 4,200 and then 5,400 to the upside. So let's just come over here to look at those levels, and then look at the chart. Before I actually do that, before I dive into the chart here with the Coinbase data, I'm just going to throw up the drawings here, but I did want to come back to this other chart. This is the Bitstamp data, which I just found out recently that Robinhood owns Bitstamp now. So that's pretty interesting. But what we can see, this is kind of, my revised Ethereum thesis, where we had some resistance over here, that resistance, more resistance up here, then flip to support, the trend line, support over here. And, actually we closed a little bit below it. This is all a little bit hand wavy, when it comes down to it, but closing right around that 382 at, 3,870. Yeah, so I mean, I still think that, my revised thesis, my renewed thesis is still intact. I am not sweating it. But again, link in the description to that video, just a 4-minute crash course or explanation of that. Didn't get many views, and it would be great to get those views up. But yeah, looking at the data over here, this, I'm actually, pretty proud of some of the stuff over here. So number 1, last week, I don't typically do this, but I, extended this channel and actually adjusted it. I think it was kind of more up here. But then I recognized, well, it wasn't necessarily a fake out breakdown. Maybe that is a trend. And we did come down, hitting a low on the 10th of 3,510. but then closing above within this channel. So that actually gives me some confidence about it. We are below all these fib retracement levels, so I am going to delete that. And also, we did, get a sweep over here, as I had kind of suggested, but that sweep actually needs to come down a little bit more. So I am going to adjust that there. Don't tell anybody. I predicted it, but yeah, I mean, I think that doodle that I have there, I feel fine about that. And that could be continuing higher. So I'm not sweating this. And also, that close from yesterday, 38.36.15. What was the, okay, so I said support of 4,200. I thought that I had said something about 38. And let's see, we've got this white line here. What is that? That corresponds, oh, that's a trend. That's a trend. That's pretty interesting. Going back to the highs, May of 2021, it got a blow off top here later in the year, ending the, cycle there. Came into resistance in 2024 as well as, I guess the end of 2024, and then found that as some resistance here before breaking above, retesting it over here. And so, yeah, I'm actually surprised I didn't have 3,800 on the list. Instead, I had 36. So I'm a little bit disappointed, although 36 would have been filled, the low of 3,510. So, that was good. That was great. I feel good about that. But then now this support here, 4,200, we are currently below that at 38. And so I'm going to say that I think that support is where we're currently at. So I'm going to adjust that to 38. And I might, let's see, additional levels to the downside. I might just do, let's see, a 3.5K here as well. And so we have those levels there. And, the red is, levels that I don't plan on, going too crazy on. And this is also coming back to the point of, if I stop more aggressively buying Bitcoin, then ETH is going to catch up to Bitcoin. But if I still want to add, then I'd place limit orders at these levels that I see as support. So, 4,200, that would have still been a dip relative to where ETH was trading at last Saturday, which was, closed last Saturday at about 4,500. So, yeah, that would have still been a dip. That would have been nice to take advantage of. So that's just something for me to consider for the future. But yeah, let's now also consider, the resistance. So 5,400, also 5,000. I mean, how disappointing is that? The high for Ethereum over here on August 24th, the all-time high, was $4,955.90, less than, $50 from $5,000. The market tends to tease us, to, trick us and stuff like that. And so, it is what it is. But also, kind of taking a step back, looking at this fib retracement, this does go up to the highs here from the lows. I believe it's April 9th. Yep, April 9th, the lows there. You can't see it behind Ed. I might actually have him step out of the way so you can see it. The low right there, April 9th, and that was at a price of $1,383.26. So from that low, locked into place, so we can actually look to make sure, those numbers are correct. I just talked about them. And so from that, what I might do is just extend this a little bit forward into the future. I think 310 will bring us there. And look at that. We did test one of those levels, so that is pretty cool. I'm just going to bring Ed back, and we can see we got a test of the 382. That's why I had 3,600. And that was, hey, I'm going to give myself credit for that, because 3,500, the low over here, was 3,510. So an order at 35 wouldn't have been filled. An order at 3,510 wouldn't have even been filled because of the spread. And so 3,600, that was spot on. I called it. Look at that. That was over here. You know, I could do a bunch of undos and, you know, to prove it, but you can just rewind and see that I had an additional level to the downside of 3,600, although the big support level that I had over here was 4,200. So, you know, whatever, give me a break. But yeah, let's just come back over to here to see where this could be going to the upside now. And also, you know, well, that's a nice little trend line that we broke. Just to clean it up a little bit, I'm going to do that. We also have this, I guess, trend line here that was, oh yeah, I think I just talked about that. I just talked about that. And we are around there, so 3,800. So let's see, hopefully where we're at, that access support. But now levels to the upside, going to have to adjust the y-axis here. And so we can see, you know, I don't know how I got 5,400. I must have accidentally deleted it with something. But what we can do is just another fib extension over here. So going from that low, I might do these to the penny and then coming down here to, you know, wherever we hit there. Just going into the future a little bit. And this is actually, wow. 6,000, this is maybe bad news. $6,667.90. So there are a few sixes in there, so maybe that's bad luck, but those are not to the penny. So, you know, what I am in fact going to have to do is adjust those to the penny. And so let's just click on that so we can see, oh, and actually, what's going on over here? I've apparently got some other levels up here. I'm going to delete them. We have that 100%. I didn't go all the way to the lows here. Wow, this would actually be higher than that. So this one, yep, I mean, I have to delete this anyways, but yeah, let's go all the way back to the lows here. You know, just kind of the full cycle thing. And yeah, so I'm going to actually delete this one. That's pretty crazy. And we'll have to come up with, you know, how did I get 5,400? So maybe that's going to be the 786 or something like that. But yeah, let's just adjust these levels. I'm going to lock this into place so we have that there. And let's get the low over here. That was, as I had mentioned, 1383.26. So 1383.26. 1383.26. It knows. And then over here, that was 4,955.90. 5590. And we have that high there. And then, oops, let's come back to this and then just get the low from yesterday. You know, lots of panic there. Maybe this means that the whole market's broken. I don't know. But let's just see that low, 3,510. So let's make this, oops, 3,510. And so those levels are all exact. Style, I'm going to add the 786, around 6,300. And then I might also do the 618. And that's going to be around 57. And so that seems like a little bit more, you know, feasible of a target, getting close to 6,000, but not quite. That's also seemed kind of psychological to kind of like rug people right before we get there, but then to get above 5,000. So I am going to adjust the numbers over here. So this to be at 5,700, and then to the upside, you know, I have 6,000 here, 6,060. So I might, let's see, I'm going to adjust some of these levels. So I got 6,000, kind of just being psychological there. And then 6,300. So I'm going to change that 6.6 to 6.3. And then 7,000 will be one of them rather than, you know, 7.4. But maybe, you know, we don't get a fill at 7,000. So maybe we want to have some fun with this and adjust this to 6.9 thousand. I actually think that kind of, you know, really makes sense, that meshes with, you know, what's going on. But, oh, I didn't even mention this at the beginning of the video, but from my thesis over here, the red line from the tops intersects with around 8,000 by the end of 2025. And so that is, kind of my thesis, with Ethereum. But I think that we could be going much past that. We could be going to 10,000, could be going to 15, because if I do come back to, actually, sorry, what am I doing? If I come back to the chart over here, and let's see, adjust the y-axis to be logarithmic, we can see that red trend line actually intersects with the yellow trend line. So the same one from this thesis, or actually they're tweaked a little bit, but on the log scale, this yellow trend line intersects with this red trend line, and that is at a price of around 20,000. That's above us now, though, or that's behind us, I should say. So we could be, heading to 20,000 in 2026. I really have no idea, but I just think that that's a cool little thing. But yeah, coming back to this, let's see. I've got all those levels, talked about it, explained, and then I do need to make sure I highlight this. I need to adjust those alerts, but I'm not placing any additional orders. Just doing the standard normal daily DCA. And with that being said, we'll move over to the next one in a second, but I did see some more chats. Hey, Nick, what's up? I see you there saying believe. And yeah, I mean, I was getting some, I think I posted something about plug power, and I was getting some chats or some comments about it. And it's like, any limit orders that I had, whether stocks, whether crypto, if they were filled, great. If not, I'm not chasing anything Friday after close or over the weekend. I'm just following the strategy that I have laid out here. And it can be very tough sometimes, like Fartcoin I saw super low. It's like, damn it, or dang it. And it's PG here. It's even more than that. It's G. I'm just kidding. But yeah, I mean, I wanted to get more, but it's like I gotta be calm. And I do have kind of a strategy in my notepad of some things that I will be adding to, kind of diverting from, the norms. But yeah, I'm just going to drink a little bit of water, and then I will continue on. All right, and so now let's go on with the next one. That's going to be Dogecoin, ticker symbol DOGE. Let's check out the market cap of that one. And so that's going to be ranked number 9. Believe it or not, it's above Cardano. I find that to be pretty crazy. But yeah, we can see that over here. Oops, didn't copy. And so it's around $28.8 billion market cap. Pretty massive. It did come down from last week. Last week it was around 37.8 billion. Now it is at 28.8. And so let's check out the price. And this one actually, it dipped down to a price that, I really started stacking. I gotten into Doge a while ago, but then sold it probably at a loss. But then started to get back into it at the end of 2023. It was trying to accumulate at 10 cents. And, the low from yesterday was sub 10 cents. And so this, over a year, nearly 2 years that I've just been like stacking it kind of on a daily basis. I could have just not done that and just, bought a bunch at 10 yesterday. But anyways, that's how the market goes. This one actually doesn't look so good because it didn't bounce up as much as, actually, no, I guess it doesn't look that dissimilar to Ethereum. Just curious, Bitcoin, yeah, same. Downside move and a little bit of a bounce, but didn't recover too much. But anyways, again, trading below the 50 SMA, and the close on Friday the 10th was at 1945. So let's see, 1945. And this one, it's like, like I said, just stacking all the time. Kind of disappointing. I'm only up 6% on that, but part of the thesis is, 4% APY. And so 6% is not that bad. Although, if I've been stacking for multiple years, savings would have been better. But, we'll see this bounce. It will go up. And, yeah, it is what it is. And so I did do a dip buy. My level was at 23.5 cents. We are now, of course, a lot lower than that. So that's a little bit disappointing, but I'm glad it did fill. And part of that is because RLC, or iExec, the one right below it, There's a dollar difference between those two. And so I did dip buy RLC earlier in the week rather than just buying Doge right away to keep it above RLC on the list here. I'll wait until the end of the week and see if that order fills. And if it doesn't, then I'll just buy at the end of the week to keep this balanced. And so fortunately, it was filled. I didn't have to buy higher before a dump, so I do feel good about that. And then as far as, dip buying this, I'm not sure if I want to make it white, which would be like, I am going to place it, or no, actually, I would at least need to make it yellow because I don't have an order placed and I need to place it. So that just gets my attention to it. But yeah, let's look at some of the levels over here that I have highlighted. Actually, just pull up this over here. So that support level, 23.5 cents. Why did I pick that level out in Doge? And so the reason is probably some Fibonacci retracement. 23.5 kind of corresponding with this yellow line here. So the 618 at 23.37. I believe that's just going to be approximate. And we can see that that's locked into place, so it's apparently not approximate. But with that, we do have this trend line over here kind of got a fake out break below, and but otherwise it's held as support. And then these trend lines here broke out here. Was expecting to get a breakout here, but we got a breakout to the downside, and we really did sweep the lows like from over here. So I find that to be pretty interesting. And, I am going to want to clean up the chart here. And so these fib extensions, I can delete them and we can then, kind of reevaluate this stuff because clearly, from here to here, we didn't get up to the 100% and now we have broken to a lower low. Maybe it's a fake out, maybe it's not. But yeah, let's look at some of these other levels, these trend lines that I have. Maybe some of them are significant. And also, since I have mentioned, the 618 here clearly broke below that. The 786 here is at 21.37. Did consolidate around there here, but clearly below that now. So I'm going to remove that retracement. And so let's just think, let's see, what are some of these levels here? So do have this kind of, it's an approximate trend line. We're effectively right along that here. So that's something to consider, but, it's a trend line. It's kind of casual. I'm just going to delete it. Also have this trend line here. If I just kind of approximately extend that forward, did wick below it or above it. So, I think that's good to see, but yeah. So I'm going to just delete that because it's approximate. And then here, again, that trend line there did break below it. I'll just leave it there for now. And, kind of what I want to do is see some levels over here. Look at where that is. I just approximately got it to the lows from March 11th. And, we can see in June, I'll move the cursor over there in a second, but you can see that dash line perfectly. Got a kiss from the wick down there. We did get a fake out break below here, but yeah, right over here, I'm on the lows. Going back in time to where I was just at, we can see that dash line came right to it. We pierced it. Moving over to the right, and that is around 1432, and I might just draw that line corresponding with the low over here. And so that was from March 11th, and that was at a price of 1432. Crazy that I had that lined up there exactly, but now I, of course, have to adjust it. Oops, coordinates, 1432. So that's the level, and so, maybe we do pull back to that, but maybe we don't pierce it. So I would say that, the dip that, stands out to me that we could be retesting. I mean, look at that. We've just seen a lot of tests of that. Very interesting. So I would say 15 is going to be, just round that up, the level that could be getting filled. And so 15 cents there, and I don't need to round that. This is going to be the big question. Do I want to place an order there? Or do I want to just, kind of actually, because we're not too, yeah, this is kind of a rule that I have or a rule of thumb is that, I don't really want to be buying stuff or adding that aggressively unless it's down more than 10%. Since I'm still up in my Doge and very close to it, I'd say, I don't really want to be adding unless, it's to balance it so it keeps it above RLC, or you know, if there's like an actual discount there. So I would say that 100%, oops, I wanted to pull back to this, sorry, not 100%, that $100 dip buy, I would say would have to correspond with 15 cents. And, or if, you know, an RLC order gets filled. So let's just come back over here to see, you know, what is going on here. And yeah, we do have this, you know, kind of, you know, parallel, it seems like, and I might actually adjust this to be a more formal parallel. I think that'd probably give us a little bit more information on this. And also, you know, I can delete these just to remove a little bit of that clutter. And yeah, so I'm going to do a parallel channel coming over here to this tool here. And, you know, I'm just going to do it from the tops over here. I'm going to have to adjust it, I'm sure. But then we can see this. And so I will just extend this. Let's see, how far over do I want to go? I don't really need to go too far into the past. I'll just go over here. And so we can see that. And look at that. You know, sure, of course, I just drew this hand wavy, you know, and wanted it to correspond over here. But, you know, what's the basis for that? And so for, you know, the specs of this parallel channel, you know, it's just a parallel channel. And then the blue dashed line is the 50%, so right in the middle. And then these thinner white lines represent a 10% deviation from that maximum. So that's what you have. And so with this range, we see, you know, tops over here intersecting or nearly getting to, you know, that top, that full part of the range, but some of them falling a little bit short, but they're like in that 10% window there. We also do have the pierce of it when it first came down and then, you know, started to trade over here. Okay, so there's that. And then now what do we have? We have a test of that 10% on the lower side here, April 7th, when we hit that bottom. And then a test, and a little bit of a pierce for both of them actually, but this one a pierce of the bottom of that range. And now we did get a very clear pierce of the bottom of that range, the parallel channel, but now we are trading between the bottom and the 10%. So hopefully that does hold, but if it doesn't, you know, I think that 15 cents would be, you know, a nice dip buying level. So I am going to probably just leave that like that. I think that's good as far as the dips go. And this, you know, let's see, 22 cents. That is no longer a dip, but that could be a level of resistance. And actually, let's consider this, the 50-day simple moving average. That's around 24 cents. That's also similar to, you know, the 50% region of that channel. So I would say, you know, 24 cents would be a good level. So I'm going to up this from 22 to 24. And then that also falls a little bit short of 25 cents, you know, quarter. Maybe that would be some resistance, like 24 would get a fill. And then the rest of them, you know, 42 is like 420 and 69. 83, these other ones, let's see there, I might have to adjust those. But to the upside, I believe I have 31 cents, actually 33. But over here I have 31, corresponding with like the consolidation lows over here, nearly got to it on, let's see. And this is actually funny. This was Saturday, September 13th. And you can look back on that stream when I talk about Doge. I talk about, well, you know, it seems like it's getting rejected there. It's topping. I could be trimming, but, you know, I don't have as much Doge as I'd like, so I'm not going to trim. It would have been a good idea to just completely exit there. And so I think that's kind of a nice example of, you know, technical analysis, but then also, you know, emotions, you know, being in love with Doge, kind of getting in the way. But, you know, again, it's not a big deal, so it's no problem there. But yeah, so what I might want to do is to be a little bit more conservative, is to just say, you know, 31 cents, not 33. So I'm going to adjust that there. And, you know, for Doge, you know, I'm fine to just keep adding to it. So I'm not going to plan on selling or trimming there if we do get up to there, because this could be just a sweep of the lows, get everybody to panic before we see a rip your face off rally to like $1 or something with Doge. So I'm not sweating it. Maybe that's because I'm an idiot, but I don't know. And let's just consider these other levels to the upside. 83 cents. Where is that coming from? So that's going to be this. Goes way far into the future. I guess that's 56 cents. Do I have 56 on here? No. So yeah, I'm just going to delete that. And that's going from the lows here to this. And then actually, you know, I could adjust that. So maybe I won't delete it. Oh, that's locked into place. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to leave it locked into place, but I'm just going to adjust the levels. So that goes to the low from the last bear market, the high that we recently saw. Now, so the low is around 5 cents. Then we went to around 48.46 cents. And then this recent low would have been from yesterday. And what did I say that was? That was around 9.65 cents. So 9.65 cents. Got that in there. And so it's going to be around 53 cents. I'm not going to make this 5.98. I'm going to make it 5.10. Let's see, 3.10 actually, I think is what I want. Maybe that's in the past. No, that's right around. I'll make it 3.20. So a little bit forward into the future, and that's around 53 cents. So maybe 50 cents is a good level to have here, but that's not one. I'll do 53 because that's what it's drawn as there. And so let's see, 53 cents. And well, you know, that's red. You know, maybe that's one that I would want to consider actually trimming at. So I'm going to make that orange, just to keep that, you know, in mind. And I worry too much about those commas, so I'm just going to make them all orange. And then let's see, where did I get, you know, the 69, of course, that's just fun. The 83 cents, where is that? Oh, I'm just going to do this. 69 right there. 83. I don't know where I get that. So, well, you know, this is where I get that. That would be adjusted to 80 cents. So I'll adjust that to 80 cents. And then the 98 is really just like a little bit below 1. And maybe that corresponds with something up here. Nope, I think that's just like, you know, maybe trim a little bit, you know, ahead of people who want to trim at 1. So that's just something to think about there. But, you know, that's the level that I would really like to trim at, but I'd consider in orange these other levels. So, yeah, I mean, that's enough time on Doge. I'm spending a lot of time on that. But, yeah, the support level that I see for it is going to be around 15 cents. But that may be behind us. And so we'll wait to see how the week plays out and, you know, what I end up doing with RLC, because then that would be, you know, what determines whether I need to do this buy there. But yeah, I will place that limit order. But yeah, before I go on to iExec, just gonna have some more coffee and check the chat. Don't see any more stuff in the chat, so that's nice. But yeah, Sunny, Nick, if you guys are still here, glad to still have you with me. And yeah, but now let's continue on with the next one. Perhaps the most speculative one on the list. That is going to be iExec, ticker symbol RLC. And you will see why it's so speculative in a second when we look over at the market cap. So over here, easy to find. Just scroll to the bottom of the list. It's actually still above 400. So that is surprising. For the majority of these crypto corner set stackers, it was sub 400. It's still holding above 392. So that's actually really good at a market cap of around $74 million. So that is not too shabby. And yep, did come down from last week. I was at 94 million, so lost about $24 million worth in value. And then let's just come over to the list here. Just going to remove those drawings. We got this a little bit cleaner. And we can see this, yeah, it looks like it really fell off a cliff. And this, I must say, you know, kind of with the assumption that, you know, this is an opportunity. For this week, I'm going to assume that it is, and I'll probably be a little bit more aggressive with my buy here. And then that will kind of force my hand with Doge as well. But I wouldn't make that buy order until the end of the week if it's not filled at 15 cents. But yeah, with RLC here, we can see that the close yesterday was 86.76 cents after hitting a low of 78 cents. But yeah, 86.76. So let's see, 86.76. and I'm down. And this, I'm not necessarily superstitious or anything, but other people are, and it's just fun. Otherwise you're just looking at numbers on a spreadsheet and it's boring. But 42 here, cover up that percent. It looks like a 420. Over here, cover up that percent. It looks like a 420. That's a good omen. But yeah, down, 42%. That kind of sucks. My average is 149. At the start of these videos that I was doing, Crypto Corner Set Stackers, I believe my average was above $3. So I've gotten it down notably. And I think that, I could be making a lot of money with this, but it's also very risky. And maybe it takes me 4 years to make money with it. So good to also consider that. But yeah, I do plan on, buying a dip. Where do I intend to buy it at? We'll have to look in just a second, but looking over here, the support level that I had where I did get a fill at was 105. And, to kind of consider that more critically, adding numbers over here. Let's just look at the chart and see, where 105 is. 105. Let's put the drawings back up here. And we can see, why did I pick 105? That was the 618 from this Fib retracement. 105.52. Thought, if we get a pierce, I'll do that. And we actually did get a pierce of it earlier in the week. I guess that would have been on Thursday. So I should have, waited to place the order and then just bought, where it's at now. And with that being said, yeah, I think that I might want to do that. Actually, look, this is super cool. Is it in my list over here? 79 cents? It's not. But look at that, 79 cents. Have that green line there. That was tested. Super cool, I must say. June 22nd, Sunday, June 22nd of earlier this year, the low was 77.91 cents. Got that green line there, but that's not where it originates. It actually comes back to, when we were doing this like little uptrend here, uptrending support. Now, this was the lows, or consolidation lows, had some pierces of the level, but from November of 2022. And so we've come back to those levels. And actually, we did pierce it. So what were the lows? Sorry, I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. What were the lows over here? So the low on June 18th of 2022 was 56 cents. So very curious to see, and I'm not going to leave it up there, but I'll just do a little horizontal ray, just doing this kind of blind. But yeah, again, that level was, let's see, that low is 56 cents. So I'm just going to adjust this here to 56 cents. And then from there, we can just fast forward to current times. And we didn't get to that level. So maybe actually that's one that, I'd want to lock it in place just so we have that for reference if it does go lower. But yeah, 79 cents, that's pretty cool. And we've actually seen it go down there today. So yeah, maybe what I want to do is, like over the weekend, just place an order for 79 cents. If that gets filled, great. If it doesn't, this is below $1, up here, the white line actually, and then 95.51 is the yellow line there. And so that could be, a nice opportunity. So I'm going to say, let's see, 79 cents. And that is one that I need to place the order on. So I'm going to do that there. So I will need to adjust the alerts. Oh, and also do this and also do that for Doge. I need to make sure I place those orders. But yeah, 79 cents. It could also, 56 cents. So let's have, 56 up here. And maybe that's actually a level that I could place a dip buy order at. Because, for Coinbase, I just have, cash in there, USDC, to get 4.1% APY. And, so then I could just place an order there at 56 cents. If it gets filled, great. If it doesn't, that's fine. I'm still earning the APY. And so I might make that, yellow. That's one that I need to consider placing. So that's very interesting. But then also, the 79. And yeah, so I find that to be super cool. And let's also clean up some of the charts. And this is something that's super crazy with RLC. It skyrocketed up here to 196.37 on August 28th. And I think this is actually a good reminder with alts, whether or not how speculative they are, whatever, they can have very kind of sporadic moves. So I think it's good to really lay out the strategy for where one wants to trim, because my average at the time was a little bit higher than it is now. But I was in the money. I was green. And if I would have had limit orders like 10% above my average, that would have been a nice way to lower the risk on a very speculative coin. But, I didn't do that, as the story always goes. But, I do think that this is, pretty interesting. And now we're going to the downside. But yeah, these trend lines, whatnot, I've got some levels to the downside. I feel good about those, 79.56. And then also, I guess I should be adding, where we're currently at, 86.67. So I might also add, 86 cents. Maybe I would be willing to buy there. And then, yeah, let's say this is the idea with this. Of course, this is very speculative. This is very risky, but this is potentially, a really nice dip buying opportunity at 86 cents where we're at. And so what I think I might do is place the limit orders for 79 cents and 56 cents, see if they get filled. And if they don't, then, by the end of the weekend, basically, this is actually, this is what I want to do. This is bad. I want to place limit orders at all of these. This is where, a problem comes in. I just got paid yesterday, though, so I'm not too concerned about stuff. And I'm going to be decreasing my daily DCAs on Bitcoin pretty soon. So I'm not too concerned. All the bills are paid, all of that and stuff. But yeah, over here, what we can see, what I'm thinking is I'll place limit orders at all of these levels, not expecting 79 to get hit because it was already pierced. And in the past, we've only seen very brief pierces of it. We haven't seen long-term pierces of it. And so, but then if it does go back to 79, then hey, that's great. And then if it goes even lower to 56, then that's even greater. But then if those do happen, then I would take a pause from the dip buys, on RLC. So those are three that I'm considering, placing orders. And so with that being said, I'm actually going to adjust this to place orders for $300, which is insane, but it's fine. I suspect most of that money will just be sitting in USDC. But then let's also consider, level to the upside where I want to trim at, because, I'm clearly getting more aggressive with the dip buys and stuff. I probably want to be more aggressive with the trimming out as well. And so I previously had 204 on there. Why did I have that? I think that's really just because, over here we saw, this very big move piercing, the 100% getting up to the 1618. And then I drew, this level over here taken from the low here. And then this is actually kind of odd. Why did I draw it like that? What I should probably do, that's because, it makes it a little bit shorter. You have the big move here, and then the distance from here to here makes it a little bit more conservative. But, I think that this is really just telling me that if I do this over here from that low, which was at 77.91, and so over here, 77.91, and then going up to the high here, that was at 196.37 right there. And then let's do the low. So far for today, October 11th, that low is 76.08. So let's adjust this to 76.08. And so I think that's good. And I'm just going to move this forward a little bit to 310. And so we can see that there. And so that's at 194. And so for me, excuse me, and to manage risk and not be greedy with, oh, this could go to the moon and I could become a millionaire overnight or whatever. I think what I need to do is just be a little bit more realistic with this. I think this is kind of a wake-up call to just try to manage the risk a little better. And so I see the levels here 186. What's that correspond with over here? You know, the tops here, the wicks before it really broke down. That could be important. Also, the 1618 here, maybe that's one that it's not locked into place, so I probably want to adjust that as well. And so let's see, let's lock that here and then adjust so I don't forget to lock. So the low over here, 77.91 again, going up to that high, which was over here. So that was 134.34. And then this low, which is from here, just extended into the future. And that was from August 2nd, the low was 89.22. So 89.22. And yeah, so there's that. And so we can see, you know, that's around 180. So I think that there are 3 levels here that seem kind of nice. And also assuming that they won't necessarily, you know, with spreads, you know, volatility, whatever, the time that they're at those levels, maybe they don't get filled. And so I think that, you know, we round this down to 180. That's okay. This one, round this down to 186. That seems fine. And then round this one down from 194.54 to either 194 or 190. And so for me, I think to manage risk, I'm going to adjust this resistance level to, you know, the beginning of that. So that's going to be like 180. So I'm going to adjust that. And that's green for me. So I'm in the money. I'm good. And then let's see, 56.86. I've talked about those. The rest of these, I think I'm getting too greedy and I need to be able to have a moon bag, a very small position. And because I do things kind of in increments of 100, that's how much that should be. And so I have my first trim, which should effectively be a quarter of my position minus that $100 remainder. That should be at 180. I'd be making some profit there on something risky. That's good. Walking away with money is better than walking away with a bag. And that's, you know, red. The next level from that would then be 186. So I should put that over here in the 225 spot, 186. And I should make that yellow, which I'll do in a second. Coming over here, the next one would then be 190. And then the next level over here, 269. I'm going to leave that because it's funny. But then actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to be disciplined for now. No, well, you know, if I have a moon bag, then it's like there's no real target necessarily. And that could just be like $3. So yeah, I'll do that for like the moon bag level. And let's see, that would be 194 is what I said. So let's see, 194. There we go. And so these will all be yellow because I want to place those orders in, you know, 180, 186, 190, and 194. And I'm going to do that. Those would be trim quarter position minus a $100 moon bag, which would be to trim at or around 3. And so I'll leave that as orange as that. So that is kind of my strategy there, so I can more comfortably be aggressive with this dip buy rather than, you know, doing an extension from this to the upside. I think that's a little bit more conservative. And I think that I need to be a little bit more conservative with these speculative ones. So I feel good about that, especially because I am still, you know, earning the APY on that USDC. So that's good. Lots of stuff to adjust there, as you know, one might expect after such a volatile day yesterday. But yeah, just going to come back over to do the next one on the list and, you know, just have a sip of coffee before I continue. And yeah, I will, let's see, I've been streaming for over an hour now. So this stream might be more than 2 hours, but, you know, I've got to be going over all this stuff. I've got to be, you know, making sure I have a plan with this. And yeah, so the next one on the list is going to be Loopring, ticker symbol LRC. Let's check out the market cap for this one. And Loopring is ranked number 333. Maybe that's a good sign. And it has a market cap of about $95.4 million. Again, very speculative, just like RLC, but it's less so, I guess. And so let's check out the price of LRC, not to be confused with RLC. And we can see, again, everything's below the 50 SMAs. And we can see that the close from yesterday, the 10th, was at a price of 7.44 cents. So 7.44 cents. And, down 20% in my position. So that's not looking so great. But, it's looking much better than RLC. So, and I think I forgot to pull it up, but looking at the market cap, just comparing that, it was at 118, about 9 cents last week, which is about my average. So I should have trimmed. I should have been more aggressive with that. And so I think that this is kind of, a good wake-up call that I need to be a little bit more aggressive. And so I did dip by at about 8.4 cents. My average now is 9.35 cents. And I need to kind of reassess this, which I'll make yellow now to do, a $100 dip buy. But maybe I want to do something similar to like RLC and then just more aggressively exit if and when it does bounce, which I feel at this point that it will, but maybe not. And then, next week I would, pump the brakes more on this stuff. But yeah, let's just come over to, this here so I can populate it here. So 84 cents, that was filled. And where are we at now? We are at about 7 cents. And yeah, let's pull up some of the drawings here and see what does this have in the past that, this is kind of, trend line here. So I'm going to want to clean this up some. So this would be, if it were to bounce to the upside, but, we didn't do that. We got a bounce or a break to the downside. Why did I pick the levels that I did? I'm just going to extend this forward so we can see it a little better. So let's just do that to 310. And so why did I pick 8.4 cents? That is because of the 618 here, as you can see, but we clearly broke below that. So I'm going to delete that fib retracement, and yeah, we can, just kind of reassess. And so what do we have here? We do have this uptrend that I've drawn, clearly broke below that. I'd suspect that would be acting as resistance. That's going to be around 8 cents. That's below my average. That kind of sucks. Also, we do have this, trend line. Oh, that's a horizontal line, it looks like. That's just below 8 cents, 7.8 cents, or 7.81 cents if you want to nitpick. But yeah, let's look at the low over here. That could be a dip level. And so the low from June 22nd was 6.58 cents. So I'm just going to lock that and make that an 8 there. And yeah, so that's a level that I think that this could be getting to. So 6.58 cents. And then also, I'm curious, does this, if I draw a trend line here, does it intersect with the point over here? That might be kind of interesting to see. And trend line from the lows here, just being kind of approximate. And yeah, that does, intersect there pretty nicely. So maybe there's something with that. Maybe not though. But if there is something with that, that will be getting down to actually, what was the low from yesterday? The low was 5 cents. Wouldn't have gotten a fill with an order there. So maybe let's round that up. It looks like the intersection here. Maybe I could, do this as a ray. So let's just zoom in so this is a little more precise. And let's see. Okay, array here. So we can get the 2 pinpoints. So one is going to be the low from April 7th. That was at 76 cents, or sorry, 7.6 cents. And then the low over here which was 658. I should know that one. So 658. And then this was 76. Is that what I said? Yes. All right. So now we have that trend line. And we can see how did this correspond with this pretty nicely. And that would have been around like 51 cents. Let's just round that up to 52. So that's, and maybe I will just do a little horizontal ray so we can see kind of what I'm thinking. And I'm just going to round that up to 52. Okay, and I will lock that into place. So those are two levels that I could see this dipping to. And then also, I guess where it's at now, 7 cents. So this would be, similar to what I would be doing with RLC, which is maybe a bad idea. But I think that, yeah, I think that, and what I want to do, I should adjust this to 86, and I should adjust this to 79. Because I pretty much know that 86 will get filled there. And so I should do the same thing here with RLC. And I should adjust this, or should place this at 7 cents. And then I can also, remove the, so rounding it. And so I'll place that as yellow. And then over here, I have, the 658, or let's just say 66. And so I'll put that here as 66 cents. And then, 6.6 cents, and then 5.2 cents. And then here, 5.2 cents. And so those are two levels that I would place limit dip buys at. And then now I need to be more critical to the upside. Where am I going to exit? And I need to GTFO of these. And so, what's my average though? That's going to be a factor in this. 93.5 cents. And so over here, the moving average is 91 or 9. If I'm saying it with the incorrect decimal or whatever, just because I'm not used to talking about fractions of pennies, I'll be at 9.1 cents is the 50-day SMA. And so if these dip orders are filled, I could imagine that would get my average down. And yeah, let's, think about this. So I've got all these levels to the upside. How am I thinking about this? This is, okay, so clearly getting up higher there for the RLC. Where could I see some levels? And, well, with RLC, I have to be treating this a little bit differently because my average is, right around here. And so, yeah, I am looking for extensions. For LRC, my average is much lower. I don't necessarily need to do that. And I could be doing something, as simple as a fib retracement from the high here to the low that we saw yesterday. And then we could look at some of the levels here, what corresponds with, what my average is, where I would like to be trimming out, taking some profits. And so let's do this to the penny. So just lock that in place. And let's see, over here, the high was 11.9 cents. So I'm just going to do that. And then the low from yesterday, I think is 5 cents. And got that there. And so we could see these levels. And so I wouldn't really want to be considering trimming out until like around 9.3 cents, right around the 618. Also kind of corresponding with that 50-day simple moving average. And so let's just look over here. My average, it would be in the red, but at the same time, that would be managing risk. And I think that if I'm dip buying here more aggressively, my average would come down, and that would effectively be trimming out at, break even or a little bit of profit. Managing risk, that's fine. So I would say for this, the RLC over here, I want my first trim out level to be 9.3 cents. So I'm going to do this as 9.3 cents. And then I am just going to do that. And so I need to place that order. So I'll do that right there. And I'm going to need to adjust my alerts and my orders. And then so let's just expand this a little bit. And then also consider the other levels that I would want to be trimming out at a quarter of position effectively, but then leaving $100 on the table as a moon bag. So I got 99.3 cents. Then I would say probably 10 cents. And let's see, 11 and 12. I think that those are fine. So I'm going to adjust these to 10 cents, 11 cents, and 12 cents. And then the moon bag. What's the moon bag level going to be for this? Maybe 32 cents. I think that seems reasonable. Or, maybe I'll just do 30 cents. And that seems fine. So with that, all these levels are going to be yellow because I need to place them to trim out with 1, 2, 3, 4 trims, quarter each of them. And then the 30 cents will be orange as, moon bag type of thing. And so I feel fine about that. And then also if these orders are not getting filled, then, then that's fine. And, I am, let's see, if they're not getting filled, then I'm just, getting that APY on the USDC. So that's fine. And with those being 300, I'm also potentially going to have to adjust Doge to be 300, but I'm going to make this orange because I'd only do 100, or I'd do it incrementally, based on whatever gets filled with RLC, just to keep Doge higher up on the list here, because these are sorted by, how much money I've put into them, how much I am personally risking, and I want to keep Doge above RLC. That's a hard line for me. But yeah, let's see. We'll go on to the next one. I don't see that anybody is tuned in currently. But, that's totally fine. Because I am largely just doing this for myself, but I do hope that it adds some value for you guys. And, if it's exciting, it's risky. This is boring. I'm managing my risk. All right. And so, yeah, the next one on the list is going to be Ondo, ticker symbol ONDO. So let's check out the market cap for that one. Going to be higher up on the list, ranked number 41 with a market cap of about $2.4 billion, a little bit less. Let's just populate that over here. And we can see that it did come down from last week. It was at 2.9, and now it's at like 2.38. All right, and then let's check out the price for Ondo. The closing price for yesterday is, or was, I should say, at 73688. So 73688, and I'm down about 17%. While it's down more than 10%, since Ondo is pretty high up on the list, and this is kind of like counter to like, why am I, adding so aggressively to these? Because then, but it's because I want to get those averages down. Ondo, and I can do, more casual DCAs with it and stuff. So I'm just going to leave that there. Not too concerned about that. I'm not going to be doing any more buys with it. And we can see that my average is 89 cents. And I did see, a dip buy level or support potentially at 83 cents. I'm probably going to have to adjust that because I imagine, that we are trading lower at like 75 cents. So, yeah, What we can see, this is interesting though, kind of trading right around the 786, which is around 74 cents. So I could see that, as holding up as some support. So I might just adjust this to 74 cents. But I don't plan on placing an order with that. And, which is maybe something that, I'm going to regret, but, I wouldn't want to until like I get SOL above it and stuff like that. And RLC and LRC, those are just kind of like stupid degen trades that I'm probably going to regret. But, it is what it is. And, I'm going to do that. But yeah, so 74 cents here. I'll do that. And also like with Ondo is way higher than, if this is, like bridging or like oracles or tokenization, whatever. I think that there's a lot of, overlap with things like Chainlink, with Aave, and those are much lower on the list. So Ondo's fine being up there like that. And so, yeah, 74 cents. Do need to adjust the alerts. Not going to place any orders. And let's just see the resistance at, let's see, 138 up here. And I might actually just delete some of this stuff from the past, just so we don't have so much clutter. And so let's see. Definitely broke below this. And so I would say the new level is going to be around 112. See that as acting as some resistance. So I might do, let's see, yeah, so I might add some more here, but I'll first do this at 112. 169, but I'll do 145 as well. Or, I'll round that down. Got to have fun. I'll do 142, 169. Those are two levels that I don't think I have orders placed, and that's why they're yellow. I'm not going to place orders with that because I'm not really too concerned. But once it does, get up above this, then, I'd consider, trimming there. But I have a little bit more conviction in that just to kind of hold more passively. So I feel fine about that. And hey, Anon, what's up? I did already go over Doge, so you'll have to rewind to check that out. Yeah. So Ondo, I think that, those levels are fine. This could be going up to 2, so maybe I should add 2 to that as well. But yeah, those are all levels that I would trim at incrementally. And this, 2, I don't know, yep. That would be a great trade there, especially with my average for Ondo being at like 89 cents. It's a more than 2x, so that would be great. And yeah, so I'll continue on with the next one. This is one that I very close, almost trimmed out of at break even, and I did not. Almost trimmed out, exited at 10%. Profit didn't, and now it's here, whatever. I kind of lost, like this is like a fossil coin, I feel like. But anyways. Let's talk about the next one. That is going to be Ethereum Classic, ticker symbol ETC. Let's check out the market cap over here, ranked at number 43, and that has a market cap around $2.35 billion. And it did come down from last week when it was at 2.97 billion, almost 3 billion. And then we can check out the price over here. Let's just remove those drawings. Look at the closing price from Friday the 10th. That was at 1470. So 1470. And that one I'm down 32% on. So could have exited at break even, and that would have been great. I did get a dip by fill, $18 at 18. So I just added one more to my position. But, I don't really think I need to be chasing the downside for this. There are other ones that I will be adding to more aggressively. So I'm just I want those to be higher up on the list. Ethereum Classic, I don't want it to be any higher on the list. So I'm going to do an NA for the dip buy with that. But we can consider, where this could be coming down to. Let's see. Ondo, what I said, like 74. Yeah, so let's just look at this. Oh, that's very interesting. this fib retracement, the 786. So trading right around there, but just below. But yeah, so current price is around 1535, 1536. So I can see like $15 as acting as, you know, a level of support there. But this, again, is one that I do not plan on buying. Or at least not adding to over the next week. I just need to take it, you know, I just need to kind of consolidate a little bit. So that's one that I'm not going to put myself out there on. You know, just like with Ondo, oh, well, actually Ondo 74, I should add, you know, so I'm just going to take a backtrack a step over here with Ondo. Why didn't I talk about this 66 cents? That is something that I should add over here. This is 66 cents. And then also, what was the low? That was 58 cents. So I might also do, let's see, a 58, a 60, and then a 66. And those are all ones that I don't plan on buying, so I'm just going to make those red. But yeah, I would not be surprised if we do go to those levels. So I'm going to do the same thing with Ethereum Classic. 15 is around where we're at. Where could we be going lower to? And so for ETC, the low effectively from yesterday was around $12. So I would say, and actually, what was the low over here? 1269. So that's kind of interesting. So I'm just going to draw a line here, and I'm going to make that to be 1269, which I'll look at that and be like, huh, that's funny. I put a 69 there, but that was actually the low on April 7th, 1269. So I'm going to have to put 1269 over here. And because, you know, all of these are white, that means I do have orders placed, but because I like to, you know, put things back on the wall, back onto the exchange, just so I'm, basically so the exchange doesn't know what my average is. And, you know, I keep track of that by, you know, whatever the wallet remainder is. So I would probably do that. And then what are levels that, you know, I would want to trim out with this? Maybe I want to be a little bit more aggressive with this, like I was with RLC and LRC. And yeah, so, I mean, if my average is, I mean, I think that this is all fairly conservative, you know, getting up to 25 here. So I think that I was already being pretty, you know, rigid with those. So I'm going to do that, but I am going to make them yellow because I do want to make some adjustments and then, you know, leave a remainder for a, you know, $100 moon bag, something like that, because why not? And so, yeah, that's that. I guess resistance, though, around 21. You know, that's going to be kind of actually, I don't know that, I mean, 21 still would potentially be some resistance over here, but I think that we'd also see some around 18, basically where I got my fill. So I might do this as 18, not going to be adjusting anything there. And, you know, because it would just clutter everything here, 12, 16, yeah, 18. Yeah, I guess I'll do, what was the number that I had there? 21? Well, because then I could do 20. Yeah, so I think I should probably do it like this. 20, and then 20, oops, 21. And so that is a little bit cluttered, but I'll just do this. Oh, why did I do that? Oh, yeah, doesn't matter. So there. Got all of those levels there, so I think that's good. And yeah, and I do need to make that yellow though, so I know I need to adjust those alerts. And actually orders, I do need to place orders, not to buy, but to be GTFOing, you know, to be trimming out. So I'll be doing that. And yeah, and so now I think things are going to be getting a little bit more exciting because some of these down here, SOL, if you look back at my thesis, is, it's like I have more conviction in Bitcoin, Ethereum, SOL, and Doge. But SOL is all the way down here. I had been accumulating Doge for a while. Now, I kind of want to be a little bit more aggressive, especially if I'm starting to cool off on my Bitcoin daily DCAs and my ETH DCAs eventually. Then I want to pick it up on SOL, get SOL up to potentially be above Doge, which is going to take a lot of work. Doge is notably higher as far as what my exposure is. But anyways, I'll get into that with this and, SOL, or the next one on the list, which is going to be Solana, ticker symbol SOL. And so let's check out the market cap for Solana. It's going to be ranked number 6 here, just shy of $100 billion, is it? And let's see how this rounds. Maybe it rounds to 100 billion. I don't think it will, but maybe it does. $99.865 billion. Comparing with last week, we were at 123.7 billion. Now, now we are very much red there. But yeah, let's look over at the Solana chart. And we can see here, if I just remove those drawings, the close from yesterday on the 10th was at 188.82. So 188.82. And wow, that's crazy. I'm actually a little bit green from yesterday's close though, and current price is lower than that, around 183.70. So I am effectively at break even. Okay, so that's not too exciting, but what I can do, what I have been doing is I've been doing, $14.27 daily DCA. The reason for that is if I pull up a calculator and we do 14.27 times 7 days in a week, that's right around $100. And that little bit of a difference, yeah, that little bit of a difference, it's fine to be adding because I think my position's rounding down by tens of cents to the nearest $100 effectively. And so this would still be keeping my average moving up increments of 100 on a week. So I'm going to leave that at, 14.27. I want to be accumulating, $100 a week with this, and those orders are already placed, so I can make that white. I don't need to worry about that. I'm just going to keep doing it. No emotions there, no problem. But we can, if we want to be looking at some of the levels, we can go over them. One of those being that I thought support would be at 214 for Solana, which, as we all know, that did not hold, but maybe 193 was, approximate where it potentially was holding. But yeah, let's look at 214. Why did I have that as a level? And so 214, that corresponded with the 50% retracement here. Clearly, we've broken below that. Not only that, but also the 618 at 208 and the 786 at 200. And then let's also see the lows over here, which would be a 100% retracement. That would have been, right around 190, 191. And so I am going to delete that. So don't need all of that clutter. We do have this other fib, retracement here going up to that high. So the 50% would be around 174. And, where did I get that 193? That's right here. That's based on the 382. And so we are below that now. Maybe we go a little bit lower to like 174. That would be the 50%. And that is locked into place. So that is, factoring in the exact high here, the exact low here. But I am going to move that forward a little bit just to 310 here. So, we can see those numbers a little bit clearer there. But yeah, 174 is the level that I would say should be right here. Or, because, yeah, we are below the 382. So maybe 193 does act as support. We're just faking out breaking below it. But 174 is going to be the next level to the downside that I would look to. But I'm not going to place an order to dip by there. I'm just going to do the daily DCA. I think that's fine because then there's no emotion and it's easy for bookkeeping and all of that. I don't have to be adjusting things. If I do get a dip buy here, how much do I dip buy to get that 100 for the week, whatever. Yep, so then with that being said, I'm going to adjust the alerts, and I am going to remove that 193. And then these are levels to the upside that I think we could be, getting to. I don't have orders placed, but I would want to be trimming out at them. But I do see resistance at 260. Why do I see that? Kind of corresponding with the tops over here. So yeah, I mean, this is something that I have a little bit more conviction in. Solana, I feel like if Ethereum is the, Wall Street's token or Wall Street's coin, Solana also has some utility, but it's not like winner takes all. I think it's going to be like a Coke versus Pepsi type of deal. And so I think both are going to be successful. And so I'm not too concerned about Solana. So I'm going to leave, the 260 there. And then these levels, I'm fine with them. Whatever they are, I'm not going to spend too much more time because I'm already doing this for an hour and 40 minutes. Do want to continue on with the next ones on the list. Orders already placed for the daily DCA, so I don't need to worry about that. And now, yeah, coming back over to the list, Cardano, this did move up in the rankings, whereas Avalanche went down. But anyways, let's go on to the next one on the list here. That is going to be Cardano, ticker symbol ADA. And let's look over at the market cap. They are ranked number 10, just below Doge. So it's glitching out a little bit. I think because the header that was up there. But yeah, Cardano ranked number 10, market cap of $23.4 billion. Let's populate that over here. And we can see that. Did come down from last week, as I'm sure we're not surprised. Cardano was at just shy of 30 billion. Now we are just above 23 billion. And so let's check out the price for Cardano. And this is actually very interesting, but we'll talk about that in a minute. The levels that I had drawn up there. The close from yesterday, October 10th, was at 65.82 cents. So 65.82 cents. This is one that I was adding over the past week, but I also do have some interest in others that maybe moved down a little bit. And so I want to kind of rebalance. And so I was adding last week for Cardano. I think I'm going to pump the brakes on it a little bit. And so I'm actually just going to do, sadly, an NA so I can more comfortably add to others. And then maybe next week, I'm down 18% on Cardano, as you can see. My average is 80 cents, and it is currently, at 66 cents. So, yeah, would it be good for me to add? Yes, but I was adding last week, and next week it might still be below 80 cents, and so I can just add then. There's no rush, just got to manage that, and so that's what I'm trying to do here. But yeah, let's see the levels that I had, the level of support that I had for Cardano, 76 cents. Why did I pick that level? And also, like kind of what I drew with ETH, there is this little bit of a downtrend. But yeah, 76, that would be the 50% retracement. Here also kind of corresponding with the midpoint of that channel potentially. We broke below it. And so I could see the level of support to the downside, which actually I think was tested yesterday. I was going to say 62 cents. The low from yesterday was 61.77 cents. That corresponds to the 786 here. As well, 61.91 cents. So yeah, 62 is what I'm going to put here. I'm not going to, this is kind of tempting because it's like, well, maybe I just want to do dip buy orders rather than daily DCAs. I'm going to just drink some water. I get to talking so much early in the morning with coffee and not that much food in me. And in all honesty, I get a little bit lightheaded, just with these going on so long, just sitting down, talking so much, staring at a screen. But yeah, this is kind of making me think that, maybe I just want to do dip buy, on some of these and not daily DCAs. But, maybe we do go lower, and yeah, I mean, like Solana, where we're currently at, I am in the red. But am I down? Let's see. Just take a little bit of a detour. What's Solana's current price? 183. Yeah, so I mean, that's, right around where I'm at. So, yeah, I mean, I think that, that's what's the great thing about dollar cost averaging. There's no emotion. And, if you do, pounce and buy the dip, then it keeps dipping down to like 56 cents or something. Then it's like you start to panic. But with that being said, there's another interesting level that I can put over here. So I have that 62 cents. That is the 786 here. But also I have this green line here at around 56 cents, kind of the consolidation lows over here. So 56 cents, I think, is an interesting level for Cardano. And so I will add that here, 56 cents. Maybe I have an opportunity to add that next week. And then let's consider some other levels. 70 cents, that's no longer to the downside, but that corresponded with the 618 here. That could, correspond with getting rejected from the base of that channel. So I think that's a good one to leave up there, but that would now be, a level to the upside that could be acting as resistance. And so, let's actually take a look. What's my average on Cardano? I think it's above, it's 80 cents. So I think that what I probably want to do is put that 70 cents over here. That's one to consider there. And then over here, put that as $1. But I wouldn't plan on trimming there. Also, these other levels, I apparently wouldn't plan on trimming until we got to around $2 or $3 is, kind of what I'm seeing there. And I do want to make that comma, red there. But yeah, 2 or 3 could see trimming out there. I am going to want to adjust this. And, like I said, I don't plan on placing orders. And with that being said, since I did have orders placed, I need to make that NA yellow because I need to make sure I cancel the orders that I had. And just, thinking about that, Ondo and Ethereum Classic, I don't have any orders placed there, so I don't need to worry about those. But this one I do need to adjust. So I think that's good. I feel good about that. So we'll come back over here, but then I am just going to check the chat before continuing on with Fartcoin. And so Anon, I'm not going to be able to respond to all those, but he's just saying that Solana is the best chain for meme tokens for sure, but I think there's also a lot of utility with Solana for, tokenizing stocks, assets, all these things. So I think there's a lot of utility there that hasn't really been tapped into as much. It is being tapped into with Ethereum, I feel like, with the layer 2s. So that's very interesting. And then also do very high risk trading is what Anon is saying. And so, all of this, some of this is very high risk, some of it is not, but I try to do it, kind of, in a strategic way here, just daily dollar cost averaging or weekly dip buys. Nothing too exciting. That's how I manage the risk. And this is also kind of in the time frame of 2025. Hopefully all of these, the majority of these, I would be out of at least by the start of 2026. So then I don't have to pay taxes for a following year and, taking some risk off the table. But anyways, I will continue on here with Fartcoin, which is ticker symbol Fartcoin. And let's check over at the market cap to see where that is at. Now this is ranked at number 135, and that has a market cap of, let's see, $368 million, which will round to a fun number for us. It's got a 69 in there. And let's just compare that with last week's. That was at 623 million. That's a pretty big drop. And let's check out the price for Fartcoin. Just going to remove the drawings so we're not seeing all of this clutter. And we do have the close from yesterday, October 10th, at a price of 37.03. That's 37.03. And I'm down 44% on that. I did get my average down with a dip buy from yesterday at 52 cents, but now it's, trading embarrassingly lower than that around yesterday's close, or 37 cents, so not too bad. But yeah, my average is now below. My jaw has been really wonky. It kind of pops. It has always popped a little bit, but it hurts sometimes. That's what I just did, if you were wondering. But yeah, 66 cents. My average is below 69 cents, so that's good. But maybe this is a sign that my thesis on Fartcoin, the prophecy or whatever, is, from 69 cents to 42 cents rather than 69 cents to $4.20. But with that being said, I think it might be good for me to, get the average down and then maybe exit at 69 cents with a moon bag, of $100 to have fun with that, because now my average is below 69 cents. So what I might do possibly is, maybe some multiple dip buys, but then to GTFO at 69 cents. And so we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the levels. Actually, I want to bring them up here. The level that I had was 52 cents. So I'll go over why I had that level and where I could see the next levels at. So 52 cents, bring up the drawings. We can see over here, 52 cents. I can remove this Fibonacci retracement, which is like based on going to the upside. And I'm just going to extend this to the current time that's locked into place. And so I'm just going to extend it to 310. So we could, maybe I want it to be 300. Actually, I'm not sure why that's so far into the future. Maybe 280. Let's see where that puts us at. And so, yeah, that seems 270. There we go. That seems a little bit more reasonable. And so, yeah, that 786 is around 52 cents. So that's why I picked that. And we actually did sweep the lows. So this has broken below 20 cents. That's insane. I was at work when this was happening, and Fartcoin was the one that I checked just because it's so stupid. And it's like, oh my God, it hit 42 cents. The prophecy, the inverse prophecy has happened. And I saw it in the 30s, and it's like, well, maybe I should buy, but I didn't. I, try to keep things based on, what I do in these crypto corner set stackers. But yeah, there are some levels here now that we can consider. One of them is going to be around where we're currently at 36.9 cents. And you can see where I'm going with this. So 36.9, got a 69 in there. And so I am going to do that. And maybe that's a level. Maybe I want to do just a buy a market order right now. That's possible. But then let's also consider some of the other levels. So the prior all-time low was from March 10th, and that was at 19.88 cents. And if we look at this Fibonacci retracement, the numbers, we can see that right there. So, that's just going to be around 20 cents. So that's going to be a level to consider. So 20 cents. And then also the low that we hit yesterday, which was at Fartcoin. Wait a second. What's going on here? This doesn't make sense. Am I reading that number correctly? The low over here is 20 cents. The low from yesterday was 3 cents. How is that real? That's insane. Congrats to anybody if you got a fill at 3 cents. But wow, this stuff's speculative. And so, yeah, I don't necessarily think it would be going back down to there. And if it does, I don't know that a fill would be getting filled there. So what I might do is an order at 6.9 cents. And so that would actually have to be over here. So that's going to be at, 6.9 cents, which is insane. And yeah, that's just crazy. And so with that being said, those are two levels that I would place buy orders at. And, because I would just be collecting APY on that USDC, so it's no big deal if they don't fill. It's not like I'm having money that could be doing other things. I'm just building up APY on that, so no problem. But that's just insane. Wow. Yep. And then with that being said, since this is a stupid coin, since this is very speculative, I'm not going to be looking for any massive gains with this. I'm just going to be looking to take the risk off the table and then kind of reassess. And so I will be looking to exit, like 90% of my position at 69 cents. That is an order that I need to place. And then I would just have like $100 risk on the table as a moon bag. And then if we do dip to lower, then I could reassess and maybe add, but really just taking a lot of that risk off the table. Orders for this, I do need to place. And then so with that being said, yeah, my moon bag level, which is just stupid, is 420. That's the thesis. And, I can't imagine that it will hold to 420, but, that's just a reminder. That's just the moonbag thesis. I don't need to get into any technicals beyond that. If I'm doing technical analysis on something as stupid as Fartcoin, there's a problem there. And so, 69, 069, that's a dip buy level. That's crazy. And yeah, so with that being said, going to come back over here and I'm going to treat this just like these other ones. And then next week, if we are still bleeding, that's like, the thesis is wrong. At some point, we got to call it quits. Right now, I'm going to assume that this is a dip buying opportunity. As the next week unfolds, that may not be the case. I may be wrong about it, and then I would reassess. And so I will do that next week. But for now, I'm going to assume that we've got dip buying opportunities. And so there is that for Fartcoin. Nothing too crazy there. And I have been seeing some more stuff in the chat. And so let's just see. Anon was also saying high risk with stock options, with crypto, I just hold. Yeah, and also like time horizon, I think is really important with crypto because if you're, buying and holding stuff with the alts, with the memes, you can really get obliterated over the course of 4 years, but it can pay out in the end as long as your average isn't at like the all-time highs or whatever. And so for this stuff, I don't plan on holding for years, but at the same time, it wouldn't be that huge of a deal if I did. But that's why I would really trim out aggressively on Fartcoin at 69 cents. Now that my average is lower than it, I don't want to be partaking in an inverse thesis of this like going to 0.420 cents or something. So there's that for that. And then also Daniel is saying, eschewing the brain is my favorite. I actually, that's eschewing. I'm going to actually look up the definition of that word. I am highly educated, but that does not mean that I have a good vocabulary. And so eschewing, let's see what that definition is. Deliberately avoiding using. Oh, okay. I thought that was going to be something else because I am definitely overthinking a lot of this stuff. But yeah, with Fartcoin, keep it simple, stupid, or keep it stupid, simple, whatever that is. But yeah, with this, 69 cents is, I would get out the majority. And then $100, I could hold that for 4 years and not sweat it. And with my average being below 69 cents, I probably wouldn't really be buying the dip because then I think that the thesis could be, invalidated. But yeah, let's go on to the next one on the list. That's going to be Avalanche, ticker symbol AVAX. Let's populate the market cap data for Avalanche. Coming up here, ranked number 17 at $9.6 billion market cap. And let's see, did come down from last week. All of it's going to be red. And one thing that I've noticed about these crypto corner sat stackers is whenever it's green one week, it ends up being red the next week. Whenever it's red one week, it ends up being green the next week, at least for the majority of them. So, but yeah, just mentioning that, talking about Avalanche, it was at $12.6 billion market cap. Now it's at 9.6. And then just coming over here to look at the close from yesterday, that was at a price of $20.75. So 20.75. I'm down 22% on my position with my average at 26.50. And this is one that, because ADA overtook ADA overtook Avalanche now this week. I don't know that Avalanche will overtake Cardano, but I did want to add to my position. And this is actually an odd one. It's $1 off of being divisible by $100. And so I'm not going to do like, 1427 or 1428. I'm going to do 99 divided by 7 to see what that is. And that's, 1414. And so I will do, this, but then paste it here, make this yellow because I need to place the order and I need to get it to be 1414 on average per day for dollar cost average to get $99 over the course of the week, just to be accumulating more. And one of the things, all of these, there is some narrative about them that I do like. And actually some of them, I don't follow that narrative as much. Or they're not as active on X or something like that. So there's less conviction. Those, move lower. The narrative that I have around Avalanche is, they're very active with gaming. They also, Wyoming is going to be using them as, I believe, the base layer for their state stablecoin. And so I like that. And so that's kind of my thesis with Avalanche. And so I feel good about that. But yeah, let's see. The dip buy level that I had was $27 for Avalanche, or the support level, I should say. Trading lower than that, around $20.75 now. And so let's come over to the weeklies to see, 27. How do I want to revise that? And not the calculator, I want the chart. And so all these doodles here, I might actually just delete some of this stuff. Do that trend line that corresponds pretty nicely with the 50 SMA, so that's kind of nice. But where are some dip levels for this? One that stands out to me is 1625. That is, the consolidation lows over here. Nearly got to it yesterday with a low of exactly $17 according to the Coinbase data, which is probably, whenever it's, to the exact dollar, it's probably some rounding or some issue, or, there were some issues on exchanges yesterday and there were some lags on Coinbase. So maybe that's part of it. But 1625 is going to be the level that I see as, potential support for Avalanche. So I'm going to place that there. I'm not going to dip by that or anything because I'm just going to be doing the daily dollar cost averaging. I do need to adjust the alert there for that. And then I also do need to place that order for the daily DCAs. And so, 1625 I see as being that. But, I could also see where it's at now. And so maybe what I want to do is actually make this support level be 20. I think that we could be at support now. And then I want to adjust this over here to 1625 as being, potential support if it does go lower. But I don't plan on doing anything around those levels. Like I said, just the daily dollar cost averaging. And then now let's see some resistance to the upside. I'm just going to crack my neck a little bit, get a little tight just being on the computer so much. But yeah, $40. Let's see. 36 up here I think could be a more realistic level of resistance. But also, we do get a bounce, and I could actually delete this fib level, but I had 27. Why did I have 27? That kind of corresponded with the 618 here at 26.59. But I'm just going to delete that so we don't have so much clutter. And also I'm going to delete this fib extension. So again, not so much clutter. And yeah, 28 corresponding with the 50 SMA. I think that actually might be some resistance with this. So I'm going to put that here. But then I did have 40 there. And so 40, actually I think, I want to do 36 beforehand. And then I might also just leave the 42 up there because it's, fun. It's stupid. Gotta have fun. 54 though is the level that I had kind of pinpointed as, a level that I would start trimming out at. And that's corresponding with the prior highs from December of 2024, 54. So there's that. And so that's a level that I'd trim at. And then what are levels that, maybe like moonbag type territory? That would be, let's say, 135. So I'm not going to overthink this. Actually, no, I mean, some of these levels, 60, 69, 420, that's an important level. And then $100. Yep, and then 135. Yeah, so I think that all of those, I stand by those levels because they're stupid and fun, and or psychologically $100 or the prior, kind of consolidation highs up here around 135. I'm going to stand by those levels. But yeah, that's, really just kind of the analysis there for Avalanche. And so let's see. The next one on the list, I did dip buy. But not going to be doing too much this week with it. And that is going to be Chainlink, ticker symbol LINK or Link. Let's check out the market cap for Link from last week, ranked number 13. Market cap of $12.2 billion. And then let's just see how that compares with last week. Did come down. Last week, Link was at $14.8 billion. Now it's at 12.2. So, yeah, we'll see where that ends up going. But let's check out the price for it. Chainlink over here. The closing price, without all those drawings distracting us, the closing price from the 10th was 17,372. So 17,372. Looks like I'm down about 17%. So I could, be buying that more aggressively. Since I did do a dip buy of $7 last week, that means I don't have a daily DCA that I need to cancel, so I can just do the NA there. Don't need to worry about it. Nothing's going to be happening this week with me on that. And the real reason why I don't want to be too aggressive with this one is because I'd prefer XRP be a little bit higher, and it's not. So I'll be more aggressive with XRP than Link, and then I'll kind of adjust in the weeks ahead as that happens. But yeah, what was the level I had for Link that I did dip buy? That was $20. And let's just look over at the weeklies here so we can see levels that stand out. So currently, around 18. So I would say that's potentially going to be holding as support, or maybe more specifically like the close from yesterday around 17. And so I'll make this be $17. That's going to be red because I don't plan on placing an order there for myself. And also one thing that I should mention, I did go over Avalanche with 20 being a level, and that was actually, the close, right around the close from yesterday. So yeah, I stand by that at 20 as well. But yeah, so 17 for Chainlink. Could it be going any lower? Yes. Let's see the low from yesterday. It was around $15 exactly. Very odd. And what does that correspond with from the past? Let's see. I mean, we are actually trading above the 618. That's at 1689.6. So that's interesting. But yeah, $15. I will add that as, a level over here. And 19, I think maybe I would just adjust that to 20, just to keep that as a whole round, simple, easy number. And then 50 is apparently where I would be happy to trim out at, which would correspond with like the highs over here. But maybe also, trimming out, taking some risk off the table around 30 would also be a good idea. And I do have that there. Don't plan on trimming out there, but do plan on, effectively moon bag around. I'll just leave it as yellow because I don't have an order placed. And yeah, so I should be doing that. And actually, I don't like that comma being yellow. So, yep, that's kind of it for Chainlink. I need to adjust the alerts, but I'm not going to be placing any orders on it this week. So I'm just going to be hanging out with that. And then, yeah, so the next one on the list is going to be XRP, ticker symbol XRP. And so let's check out the market cap. It's going to be, I assume, number 5. Tether, I think, overtook it, or, typically is above it. And then also, I think BNB overtook it. So that's pretty crazy. Usually this is number 3 or number 4. But yeah, that's insane. Number 5. And you might think, well, XRP sucks then, but it's actually, well, maybe this is a dip buying opportunity. And so, yeah, with the market cap of around $148.7 billion, it's going to round up to 149, I believe. Oh, well, actually not rounding up, but there's a 69 there, so maybe that's a good luck charm. Last week it was at, 177 billion, now at 148.7. So let's check out the price for XRP, removing those drawings just for a minute so we can see, wow, this really swept the lows over here. And we can see what was the close from yesterday, 2.3749, so 2.3749, and I'm down about 7%, not down more than 10%, and I actually, less than that. It's around 249, and my average is around 256. But this is one that I also want to be doing daily DCAs on. But I need less of this to kind of move it up to the next divisible by $100 level. And so I'm going to do something similar to, sorry, not that one. Something similar to what I'm doing with Avalanche, but I need less of XRP to get up to that next $100 divisible by $100 level, and that is actually just 63 bucks. So divide this by 7, and so that's $9 a day. That's pretty crazy. It ends up being exact. So I will just do a $9 daily DCA. I want it to be to the penny. I need to place that. And let's see, I did have a different DCA that's yellow anyway, so that's fine. But yeah, $9 to get my position up a little bit higher. So I feel fine about that. And yeah, let's then check, 269 was a level that I had as a potential dip buy level or the, support level. And we're below that now. So let's see. What are some other support levels that we could potentially be seeing? So one initially is going to be like the close from yesterday. So that was, like I said, around 2.37, or maybe we could say like 2.4. Let's just round that up. So 2.420, actually. Let's do it like that. And so that's a level that could be support. And let's see, but we also have some other levels. 2.4 is right around the 618, so kind of, testing that. That is not locked into place, so it is approximate, so take it with a grain of salt. But we also have 205 or 206, really, around the 786, just rounding that up so you don't get a fill at 205. 206 would probably have gotten filled. And so that's going to be another one over here. So let's do 206. Crap, I didn't add the 2. And let's just make sure that, yep, seeing that right. And not going to do an order for myself or anything there, but that could be some support. And then also with the low from yesterday, that was at 277. Let's just round that up to 177. Let's just round that up to 180. And so that's going to be another, potential level of support. And also, just out of curiosity, the low over here, we didn't sweep that, but we did sweep the low over here. So the low from June 22nd was like 191. And so I might actually just do this just so we see that. 191.71, it was actually 190.93. So I will lock that into place and just make that 190.93. And so that is the low there. We can see that. And so that might be acting as support. And so maybe actually that's a better level, like 190 than 180. Or maybe I could do, both of them just so we have more on there in case, one wanted to incrementally add or something if it does dip. For me, I'm not going to do that again. It's just going to be like the boring daily DCA. Which, with that being said, I do end up missing a lot of the really massive dip levels, but there's no emotion, so I think that that's kind of like a value there. And then let's consider levels to the upside for 50. I mean, really, like, what's the all-time highs for XRP? That's around like 360, 364, 369. So I think actually that 369 is a level, might as well trim. That's new all-time highs. And so 369, I might do that there. Don't have an order placed, but that's just one to consider. And, I do need to adjust alerts, and I do need to make sure I place the daily DCA. But then levels to the upside. Okay, it looks like actually 250. I was thinking that's probably, level 290 is a level here. That's the 50 SMA, so I might adjust the 250 there to 290. And that would be something that, is red. I don't plan on doing anything with that. But maybe we consider going to like... let's see, like 5. Yeah. Beginning at 369 and then, dang it, 450. No. What am I thinking about? I'm thinking about, 420. That's a level that, I think would be a good one to trim at. Don't have any orders placed, but that's one that I want to consider. And so, yeah. So I'm not going to go any more into this, but I will... adjust that. Just got to have fun with it. All right. And so now let's see. The next one on the list is going to be Litecoin, ticker symbol LTC. And we are over 2 hours now, but yeah, let's dive into it with the market cap. I'll try to speed up my analysis a little bit more. Litecoin is ranked at number 19 with a market cap about $7.4 billion. And let's just paste that in there. Did go down from last week. Oops, wrong tab. Litecoin was at about $9 billion. Kind of crazy that it's all zeros there, but did come down. It's quite possible that number that I had pasted there was incorrect too, so take that with a grain of salt. But yeah, let's check out the data over here. Litecoin, the close from yesterday, pretty massive wick to the upside and downside. I did see that running, but yeah, it got rugged. The close yesterday was 99.23, so 99.23. I'm down about 2% on it, no big deal, just chilling. This is one that, I would like to add more. I would like to buy the dip, but if I'm only down 2%, not down more than 10%, so I can just chill. And so this is one I'm not going to do anything with over next week. I'm going to make it yellow because I need to cancel my daily DCAs, but yeah, just going to make that not applicable there. And the level that I saw as potential support was 113. Let's come over here to adjust that. Looking at the chart. And so really, I mean, what's the close from yesterday? 99. We're now down around 96. Maybe there's some fib levels or something that could be suggesting where support could be to the downside. And so I'm actually just going to delete this fib retracement. And, in the interest of time, this 50% is around 99, currently around, 96. So I might actually say support to the downside could be around the 618 here. That's around 90, or let's round that up to 91 as some potential support. So just leave that there. And let's see, resistance to the upside. I think that would actually have to be around 112 or 113, corresponding with the 50 SMA. So let's do 113 here, which is actually, I think, kind of interesting. It's swapped. It was potential support, now potential resistance. That actually makes a lot of sense. And so I am going to need to adjust alerts, but I'm not going to be placing any orders on it. And then other levels, 99, that is kind of highlighted right around here with that 50%. So that makes sense, can leave that alone. Then I also have 107 right around here with a 382, can leave that alone. And then these are other levels to the upside, 400, 420, and just having fun with 69, 420 there as well. But yeah, I'm just going to adjust these commas so they are red. And then, yeah, that's, more or less the thesis there for Litecoin for the week ahead. And now let's move on to the next one on the list, which is going to be Aave, ticker symbol AAVE. Let's check out the market cap on this one, ranked number 31, with a market cap of just shy of $3.7 billion. And we can see that one, let's see, it did come down, as of course all of them did. It was at $4.3 billion last week. Now it's at 3.7. And let's just check out the chart over here. No drawings, just looking at the close from yesterday, 228.41. So 228.41. I'm down about 18%, so this one would be warranted to do some more aggressive buys. But, if things really do start to roll over, I don't need to be speculating so much with the dollar DCA. It's kind of just a waste of money if things are just going down. And so I could then, reassess next week. Maybe I want to add more aggressively. But for now, just going to be sitting on the sidelines, just chilling. No big deal. And so Aave, the level that stood out to me as potential support was 250. And we are currently below that right now at 240. And actually that closed from yesterday around 230. That would, 228, so I think like 230 could be that new level of support. And just saying 250 there. And actually around 300, corresponding with the 50 SMA, that could be the new support or new resistance. So I'm just going to do 300 there. I'm going to adjust this down here, but then let's just consider real quick these other levels here. 269, where could that be? Looking at some of these other levels. So 269, this is around 280. I think 269 is kind of dumb at this point. Yeah, I don't think that that's really going to add much value here. So I'm going to delete that. And let's see, do I have the correct color there? Yes. 500, 600, 69, 420 for Aave. And I could actually add, gotta have some fun, 400 and, 420. Some more levels. Don't have any orders placed. And actually, what's my average on Aave? My average, yes. So, I mean, taking some trimming up there. That's, no big deal. I could even be trimming at 300, but I want to hold a little bit longer. Have a little bit more confidence in Aave. I do follow them on X, and they are fairly active and stuff, so I do think that's a good sign. But yeah, now moving on to the more speculative ones. A lot of the memes, down below. So let's take a look at those. First, beginning with Pepe, ticker symbol PEPE. And so let's check out the market cap over here. Pepe ranked number 36 with a market cap of just shy of $3 billion. And so we can see that did come down from last week with Pepe at about lost over $1 billion in market cap, over a quarter of its market cap. So that is pretty impressive. And we can come over here to see what the close was at from yesterday. And it's actually coming down a lot lower. So this is, very speculative, very risky. But the close from yesterday was 50809. So let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 809. And I'm down about 40% of my position with my average around 4 zeros and a 13. I could do, continue daily DCAs, no harm in that. But if this is falling off a cliff, I don't want to be doing that. I could just be chilling. So I'm just going to pump the brakes on that. Maybe next week we see that, hey, bottom's in. That's good. Then I could start to get my average down. Plenty of room between where we're at now, which is even lower than where it closed yesterday. Between where we're at now and my average. So plenty of opportunity to get my average down. No worries there. And so just coming over here to look at the weeklies and see the levels that I had highlighted, 5 zeros and a 9. We are most definitely below that. It looks like currently right around 5 zeros and a 7. So I'm going to adjust this to 5 zeros and a 7. We do have the resistance right around where my average is, but the reality is the resistance is probably going to be closer to right around 4 zeros and a 1. That's going to correspond with that 50 SMA. So let's just do 4 zeros and a 1, delete that 3, and then I can also, with that, round this down there. So, oops, round this 1 down there. And so that looks a little bit cleaner. Not going to be doing any orders with this, but just some stuff to consider. And with that, let's consider the lows from yesterday. Pepe. Oh, this is capital. Dang it, I need to actually adjust. Why did I get, so I want, let's see, I'm going to delete this from here. And then I will add the correct one to the list. Add symbol Pepe USD, and I want to do it with Coinbase, not capital.com or whatever. So yeah, move this down to where I'm getting into the memes. So right here. And so yeah, that's odd. Like, wait a second. WTF? Yeah, so maybe this is an example of like exchange screwing up, or it looks like it's just the time when the candle switched over. But yeah, I'm going to do it the candle over here. And so I want to get the close that I have here in the Coinbase data. And so that's going to be a close of 671. Okay, and so that's the difference there. So I want to get to the close of 671. And so now it's actually, I'm down 50% on my position. So plenty of room there to get that down. And yeah, with that, currently trading, above 7 cents. And actually, if this is DGen Ed, we got to have fun with it. Got to have fun with it. And so I'm going to make that. Actually, no, I'm not, because I don't want to. Yeah, I mean, that's fine. It's stupid. It doesn't matter. So, yep, 5 zeros and a 6.9, and that's where potential support could be. But then we could have some other levels maybe being tested to the downside. Some being like the consolidation lows over here, 5 zeros and a 5, 6, or let's just do 5 zeros and a 6. So 5 zeros and a 6. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros and a 6 right there. And then also let's just see what the low was from yesterday. 5 zeros and a 5. So it's not too complicated, kind of simple concept. And so let's just make this one a 5. And so those are some other levels that could be acting as some support. And to the upside, let's just do 110 and then 16, 20. I don't know. I'm just going to leave them for sake of time. Those are some levels to get an idea about. But yeah, not going to be buying this week. And then the next one on the list is going to be the official Trump token. It's going to be ticker symbol TRUMP or Trump. And let's check out the market cap of this meme. And that looks like it's ranked number 64 with a market cap of $1.234 billion. And so let's copy that number over here. and got a nice 1, 2, 3, 4 right there, just as I had said. Has come down from last week. It was at 1,529. Now it's at 1, 2, 3, 4. But let's come over here to look at the chart here. Removing those drawings just so we're not getting clutter. Yesterday's close on the 10th was at 5.59, 5.59. And this, like Pepe, down about 50%. But I'm not going to be doing daily DCAs with this because, risk. And, I want to be building up some of my other positions that are a little bit smaller. But it is bouncing, from that close, so that is looking all right. But let's come over here to, talk about the levels that I have here. 6.9, clearly we need a different level, and that is going to be like right around the close from yesterday. So let's do 5.69. Let's have a little bit of fun with it. Otherwise, it's too serious. And then, levels to the upside, that's going to be like 8.13, or let's just say $8. Half of what it, that resistance before. So that's interesting. I don't have an order with that. Not going to be doing orders. So going to be doing it like this. I need to adjust the alerts. And let's see. Additional levels. Let's see. 8, 9. I will throw up 16 over here because I think that's, a potential level. And at this point, I think that's one where I should consider trimming. Speculative, and I have a larger position than I need to. And, my average is below 16. So, yeah, I think that would be fine. So, yeah, just going to be doing that. And there's no history. This is all time lows. So, yep, very risky in that sense. But let's come over here to the next one. This is one that I love. I have to say, Pudgy Penguins, ticker symbol PENGU. Let's check out the market cap for this one. And let's see, Pudgy Penguins ranked number 57, market cap of $1.46 billion. Of course, came down from last week when it had a market cap of around $1.859 billion. Now a little bit lower. Let's check out the price for PENGU. And that is, wow, came down a lot. Let's see over here. This is actually from Kraken. I don't have drawings up here, so that's odd. I might actually want to pull this up. Kraken is the one that I was using for, I thought Fartcoin is the one. Yes, PENGU is not. So I want to pull this up, PENGU USD from Coinbase. And there we have the drawings. And so this one over here, I'm going to delete, and then I need to drag this down, or actually add PENGU USD, and that's going to be from Coinbase. And from that, I can drag this down in the list here to put that below Trump. Okay, so now we're all set. We're all looking good. And let's just look at the close, not get distracted by what I have drawn up there. The close from yesterday, October 10th, was at 23799. So 23799, and that puts me at down negative 24%. So my average is around 31 or 3.1 cents. And I was planning on doing an NA for this and not to buy any, but I like PENGU, and I don't really have that big of a position. It's much smaller than my position in Pepe or Trump as far as memes go. And so, maybe before I throw my drawings up there, I'm just going to say I want to do a dollar DCA. I think that's totally fine. I think that's harmless. And so I will do this here, but actually I might copy and paste it like this. It's going to be rounded probably to less than $1, but that's fine. It's just, easy, passive. That's fine. So I'll do that for PENGU because I like. because it's at just a great discount right now, notably below my average, well below 10%. And for the memes that I have, this is, lower. So I think that's totally fine. But yeah, let's come over to the levels that I was thinking about over here. So 2.69 cents, and we are currently around 2.3 cents. So I would say that 2.3 is, potentially, well, why? Let's bring up the drawings here. Actually, the downtrend here, this channel kind of broke above it, but the midpoint is right around where we're at, but I might actually want to adjust this to, that doesn't look too bad. Maybe I adjust this to be like the highs over here. Maybe that makes it a little bit less, I don't know, but then I pull this down to the lows. Kind of had some consolidation around the middle, and hey, look at that. So actually, I do find that to be intriguing. I do like how I've adjusted that, and so that would suggest that like 2.3 cents could be acting as some support. So I'm just going to do that. I'm going to make this red because I don't plan on buying there, but I will be doing, just very simple daily DCAs. So I'm going to adjust the alerts, and I need to place the order there. Levels to the upside for my thesis. Yeah, it's just kind of like around, 5 cents, but maybe we could be bumping into some resistance, the moving average, and that is going to be around 3.1 cents or like 3 cents. But that is, so what I should probably do is, that's where there's going to be some resistance. So like 3.1, I think I need to do that. I need to hold myself accountable there. Don't plan on trimming there. But 2.5 cents, we're kind of around there, so I can kind of negate that. And then I would just say that the next level here that I would want to add, hopefully this is yellow, that is going to be 0.5 cents. So yeah, got that. That looks fine to me. And I will be happy to be getting my average down. Ideally, it'd be great to have an average below 3 cents, but also got to manage risk if stuff's going to roll over. And anything that's really speculative, I would think that it will take more time to find a bottom than like the blue chips or whatever. So I'm cool just hanging out with that one. But yeah, we just got 2 more left on the list. And so let's get on with Arbitrum, ticker symbol ARB, not to be confused with Arby's. So let's check out the market cap for this one. Arbitrum ranked number 51 with a market cap of about $1.7 billion. And so let's paste that over there. It did come down from last week, as we would expect. Arbitrum did have a market cap of about 2.3 billion last week. Now it's 1.7. So let's check out the chart over here. Just looking at, no drawings. The close from yesterday was 30.12 cents. So 30.12. Yeah. So let's see that. Down 30%, 38% on this. Did buy the dip at 42, so we'll talk about that in a second. But for this one, because Arbitrum has more utility, it is layer 2 that Robinhood is utilizing for tokenization on their platform, and so I like that story. And this is pretty low on the list for one that does have a lot of utility that I've heard about. Vlad talking about Robinhood, big deal, and so I think that could be moving up on the list. And so I'm going to be a little bit more aggressive with this. And to get my position to be divisible by $100, that would be by adding, let's see, 86 bucks over the course of the week. So if I divide that by 7, what would be my daily dollar cost average? That's going to be around, 128 or let's say 129, just to be a little bit more aggressive there. Or sorry, did I say 128? I meant 1229 or 1228, 1229. So let's do 1229. And so do that here, 1229. And that is going to be yellow because I need to place the order. And yep, over the course of each day, doing that. Bring that up, and I think it will still, even after next week, still be below Trump and Pengu, but it's moving that in the trend in the right direction, so I feel fine about that. And so let's talk about the 42-cent level. Why did I have that picked out there? You can guess, probably because of 420. But if we do come over to the chart, let's see what was the close from yesterday. It was like 30 cents. So I'm going to adjust this to be 30 cents. I think that could be level, but I'm not going to be buying it because I'm just going to be doing the boring daily DCA. And so with that, I'm just going to copy and paste that. So I know I need to adjust alerts and place those orders. Let's consider levels to the upside resistance. That would be around 47 or 48 cents, I would say. And that is largely going to be because of that 50-day simple moving average right there at around 47.51. If we do bring up the drawings that I have here, this is really just a fib retracement. We've clearly broken below that. Something kind of interesting, or maybe not. I'm not going to draw too much stuff on this. But yeah, I mean, around $1, to the upside, or 95 or 96 cents. I'm just going to say $1. So I should put that here. I did have 39 cents here. We did go lower than that. But yeah, I'll just delete that and change that to $1. And, those are levels that I would note, but I wouldn't really want to trim or exit my position until around $2. And that's because, price has been up to $2 in the past. So 169, kind of just being fun, but does correspond with some levels there. Highs over here, consolidation lows, whatever, resistance here. So it does kind of make some sense. But yeah, that is it for Arbitrum. Just going to be doing, some DCAing. The next one, the final one on the list is going to be Uniswap, ticker symbol UNI or UNI. And so let's pull up the market cap data for that one. And let's see, where is that going to be? Right here, 29. That is about $3.8 billion market cap. This one, while it might seem like a meme, it does have some utility, being DeFi and stuff like that. And so we see that did come down. And this one, let's see, last week was about 5 billion. Now it's around, sub 4 billion. So lost about $1.2 billion worth of market cap. So that's pretty massive. And then looking over here at the chart, just cleaning it up a little bit so we can get yesterday's close on there. That's from October 10th at a close of 5,871. So $5,871. And I'm down about 41% on this one. I could do daily DCA, but I'm actually just going to, not do anything with this one. This is one that, my risk is right around $100. That's kind of where I want to keep it. I could have exited at break even. I did trim a lot of my position at break even. I should have just exited. The reason for that is, for me personally, I don't really know too much about Uni. I don't have that much conviction in it. And so, it's one that I could just take off the list like I had done with XLM in the past, which is Stellar Lumens. I had some exposure to that. I had some experience with it. I could take it off the list. And then now, I'm not experiencing the red that we just saw with holding that one as well. So with Uniswap, nothing too crazy. And so let's see, I did have the low over here, potential support around 750, and that did not hold. So we'll just go with like right around the close from yesterday, which is around 590, currently around 6. So let's say, 590. Let's hope that holds as some sort of support. And and then 650, I don't know that that's going to be too significant. The level of resistance to the upside, the 50 SMA, that's going to be around 890. So let's do that here. And that is that. And so I'm just going to copy and paste this here. So I've got alerts, no orders, no big deal. And let's see, 650. Let's see, what do I have drawn up here? 650. I'm not exactly sure what that corresponded with, but hey, look at that. We did get this dip down to like 5. Let's see, the low was $5, but I had this level drawn at 515.5. So that's pretty cool. So I might actually add 5, I'll just round that up to 516 as a level here, because 650, I mean, do I want to keep 650 on there? No, I don't see that as too important. So what was I saying? 516. So let's do that. 516. Oops, I need to put a comma there. And yep, then these other levels to the upside, I'm not really going to worry about them too much because I'm getting kind of hungry. I'm getting kind of tired. But we do have, let's see this, I can pull that down. And so that would be suggesting around 12 or 13 bucks. But, you know, so I will probably do 13. What's my average though on it? My average is 9. Yeah, so 13 is, you know, a level that, you know, might be a good one to trim at, or, you know, actually just, you know, exit at, or, you know, resistance over here, 890. What's my average? I keep forgetting. So that would not be in the green, so I'd want to wait for that to happen. So maybe, you know, if we do bounce a lot next week, maybe I'd want to exit that position just to, you know, manage the risk, lower the risk, and all of that. But yeah, anyways, that's all of the ones that I'm going to go over here. But I did want to also pull up, you know, the chart of all of my stuff. We can see that, you know, Ethereum has definitely been the best performer. I was hoping for at least a 2x, and very funny over here. I don't know if you can see it, but the high was 99% up. I should have taken profits then. Maybe I got a little bit greedy, but I do view this as, you know, just kind of consolidating to the side. And I think that this could be going vertical by the end of the year. So that's kind of my thesis. But what we can see, everything that I'm holding is effectively negative. We do have Ethereum up here, which I'm down 42% on. Then we have Bitcoin right here. I'm up 42% on Bitcoin. I'm up 16% on Doge right here. If I can hover over that, I am up 6% on, and then I believe Solana right here, 0%. Everything else is negative. That kind of sucks, but you know, I've been negative for a while in a lot of these, and then I was green. Maybe I was greedy. I don't think so. I'm not panicking. I'm not worried. I am just hanging out. But yeah, as always, you know, those are just my thoughts. If you found them helpful, make sure you like the video, share your thoughts in the comments down below, and make sure you subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. And I will, if you guys want, do another stream like this next Saturday for Crypto Corner Sat Stacker. I'll try to get an AMC video out tonight, but I got to be doing some work outside because I've just been on the computer the past couple of days and we're at my job. And, you know, I need to be a little bit productive. I will be doing Ticker Request Live tomorrow night at, I believe it's 9:30 Eastern PM. It's probably just going to be for an hour. And then I'll try to do maybe some other stuff over the weekend. But, I want to put out cards that I opened up from GameStop, but I just need to edit that, so I'll try to get that out tomorrow. But yeah, Daniel's saying Wi-Fi bounced him repeatedly, but I watched all of your advertisements. Thank you, I do appreciate that. And of course, you're welcome for the thoughts. And I'm sorry if it's internet on your side or my side. If it's on my side, let me know. Because then maybe I can clean up streams. But actually, you know, usually I don't have issues with streams, or people haven't really said that. And I haven't gotten anything, notifications from YouTube. It's saying that I have an excellent connection. So I'm sorry that you are having Wi-Fi issues, but I appreciate watching the ads and hanging out. And yeah, I'll try to get AMC follow-up later today. And then I'll do the GameStop cards tomorrow. And then Ticker Request Live tomorrow evening. Your side, yeah, Daniel, that's kind of what I assumed. But yeah, thank you all so much for hanging out. This was fun. This is almost 3-hour stream, so it's definitely tiring for me. But I was figuring, you know, not too many people were watching these, and then we could at least maybe bounce some ideas off of each other in the chat or casually with me. So yeah, thank you all again so much for hanging out. Hopefully you enjoy the rest of your Saturday, and I'll have another video out later today, likely on AMC. But yeah, I'll see you guys later. Oh, a thunderstorm. Yeah, stay safe if there's weather where you're at. So far for me, it's looking like it's a nice day, so I got to get headed outside. But yeah, I'll add timestamps to this. I should have mentioned that at the beginning. And so you guys can circle back if you do want my perspective on any of them, any of the levels that I highlight. Timestamps there, easy for you to find. But yeah, I'll do that right after ending the stream, and then I'll see you guys in the next one.